This video is brought to you by NordVPN. More about them later in the video. Finally, the truck getting the fuel system it deserves. Previously, it was just an upgraded fuel pump in the stock tank. Well, we're gonna be doing a fuel cell, and with that, Dishworks fuel cell surge tank. So this is a surge tank. If you don't know what a surge tank is, it's its own enclosed tank that has the fuel constantly at the full level. So pretty much no matter what you're doing, you won't get fuel slosh like we did in Molly. Normally surge tanks are external. So you have a pump in your main tank going into your surge tank. This one is internal to the fuel cell. So it's very cool. Just watch this. Damn. If that doesn't look freaking race truck.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm really excited about that. So that goes inside the fuel cell. There's a fuel pump that sucks fuel out of the fuel cell into here, and then 3 fuel pumps in here that provides the engine with fuel. Because we're making a whole lot of horsepower.
Well, that's good though.
Then we got the normal stuff. Fuel pumps, 1 regulator for Molly, 1 regulator for the drift truck, and a fuel filter for the drift truck. So this badass unit is going to go inside the surge tank, and it's not gonna fit. No, I'm just kidding. If I didn't want to return it, I would do that. So we are going to build a fuel tank instead. I think I've got enough aluminum. The fuel tank going to go here in this front little section. It'll be, an inch shorter than the width of this, so it'll be 100 centimeters wide, something in the range of 30 centimeters long, and then it will be 1 inch taller than the other one. Now this fuel tank is gonna have a special little feature. It's gonna have its own drive shaft hoop, because the drive shaft comes right here, and in order to make the tank deep enough for that fuel surge cell thing to fit in it, it's gonna be interfering with the drive shaft, unless we put a hump in it. Well, the problem about that is that as soon as the fuel level gets below that notch, they're essentially 2 separate fuel tanks. Now, I thought about the idea, in order to fix this, have 2 AN bungs and an AN line that connects the 2. And that AN line goes underneath the drive shaft. It's obviously then removable, so you can remove the drive shaft nice and easy. I think that's gonna work. I think fuel will be able to flow through the AN line from one side to the other side. Daniel doubts it, Kurt kind of doubts it too. And so we've made an experiment. Here we have our fuel tank. One side, second side. Here is the AN line that connects the 2. So I'm going to fill this cup up with water. If I'm correct, then water will flow through the line and into the other cup.
All right, that's good, that's good, that's good.
Oh yeah, look at that. Flowing right into the other one. It's already above the line, and then boom, stops flowing. Now they're both leaking. I'm a scientist. I literally just proved it.
I don't think it's gonna work.
I literally just proved it.
Clip this in whenever you get to the drift track for the first time. The fuel is... Oh,
look at that. It's flowing so quickly to the other side. Science. Now, obviously, we are gonna protect the AN lines so we don't have another eclipse. I think I'm gonna do 2 drive shaft hoops so that each AN line is protected by a drive shaft hoop. But this is gonna work. Now, watch, I'm gonna do it the other way, okay? Let's do it the other way, make sure it works the other way too. Oh, look at that pressure. You see, because the gravity is pushing down on the water on the one side, pushing it through the hose to the water on the other side. And then once the gravity pressure on both is equal, then it equals out.
This man's been watching too much Smarter every day.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. It's gonna sit right there. So that's gonna sit like that. All right, so instead of trying to folding stuff usually makes it a little bit less precise because it doesn't fold perfectly. So we have to cut a top, 2 sides, 2 bottoms, and then the 3 pieces for the notch. 9 more pieces to cut. And then lots of aluminum welding. So here we have all of the pieces for the gas tank. We're gonna start packing things together. Hope it all fits. Yeah, the lights have betrayed us, so. And just like that, our fuel tank is tacked together. Freaking sick. Obviously, it doesn't have the crossover pipe for the drive shaft yet, but that'll be later. And obviously, nothing's in it. It's just a box right now, but it's a cool box, all right? It's a box I'm proud of. I'm gonna give it a couple more. Ooh, whoa. The heavens have spoken. They like the box too. That looks sick there.
It does look
That looks
good.
awesome. A couple of people asked why didn't I put like the fuel tank back here. No longer putting fuel tanks at the front or rear of vehicles. That's what I decided. Speaking of which, people also asked why I didn't put this on the bars in between the roll cage. And the answer for that is for street truck. If the radiator's right here, you ain't putting anything in the bed. And you can't even use a bed cover. With the radiator, I can do all that, so. I appreciate the input, but well, I don't explain everything because otherwise this would be an hour-long video. Some things I just let you guys figure out once you keep watching. Yeah, I think that'll be plenty of clearance for the drive shaft. If the drive shaft is hitting that, then the floor is gonna have some issues too. Okay, this is not that hot. Should I spin it like a pizza? Like, the way I'm planning on mounting this, we're gonna bend up two 1.5-inch bars, one kind of underneath the bed here going across that replaces this. So we're gonna cut this out, cut all this out. And then another farther back here going across this. The top of those bars will be somewhere around this area. And then we'll have brackets with bushings, very similar to how it looks right back there. And then coming off those bars, so remember there's gonna be a bar across there, will be two drive shaft hoops that bolt in using these. And those will protect the fuel line we have going across and just be drive shaft hoops. So that's the idea. Now, unfortunately, cutting this off, doing all this means we have to get this on the lift. So wheels on, truck off the blocks, onto the lift. I think it's my least favorite thing about fabricating is showering yourself with sparks when you're grinding something, or oh, it sucks. It's like, you can almost kind of taste it in your teeth too. Personal protection equipment is really important because it makes it at least bearable. That reminds me, do you know what else is important to have protection for? Browsing the internet, which is why I'd like to take this moment to talk about this video sponsor, NordVPN. NordVPN is the ultimate personal protection equipment. For one, it doesn't make you sweaty while you have to wear it. With one single click, NordVPN leaves you more protected on the internet, prevents you from being exposed, and makes browsing the internet more enjoyable. Just like how cutoff discs sometimes want to stab you in the eye, there are dangerous things on the internet that want to harm you as well. NordVPN is your safety glasses. NordVPN's threat protection shields you from malware, trackers, and ads. Their dark web monitor notifies you if someone leaks your credentials. And just like this hoodie makes cutting stuff with the angle grinder more pleasant because I don't get burned from metal, NordVPN makes the internet more pleasant by giving you access to content that you otherwise couldn't reach. Because some content is only available in some countries, but NordVPN can digitally transport you to another country. Now you might be thinking, what about NordVPN? Don't they have access to my data? Couldn't they expose it? That's where you're wrong. See, with NordVPN, your traffic is always protected with a robust encryption. They don't have access to your data, and they don't track or share what you do online. So if you guys are interested in getting protected on the internet, check out NordVPN. You guys can get a huge discount with the purchase of a 2-year plan and 4 extra months. If you're interested in grabbing the NordVPN deal, head over to https://nordvpn.com/Gingium and get your extra subscription time and discount. It's 100% risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Huge thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, but let's get back to work on the drift truck. Boom, just like that. If you guys didn't notice in the last video, you can notice that this bar is definitely a little crooked. Listen, blame the $2 Harbor Freight level that I used. Yeah, you know, blame the tool, not the user, right? Kind of shoot themselves, right? Question is, do we make the fuel tank crooked to match? No. You think so? But then the crookedness is noticeable. If the fuel tank is crooked to match, you won't notice that it's crooked at all. Yeah, but then the fuel tank will be crooked. So the plan for this fuel tank mount, unlike the Eclipse, where it was just kind of, you know, tabbed into the chassis, we're gonna put 2 big old bars in front and behind it. And then there's literally a frame on each side, so hopefully no accidents. Plus it's in the middle of the truck, so I'm gonna say it again. If the fuel tank bursts, you got bigger issues. It wasn't true for the Eclipse, but it was, hopefully will be true for this one. But pretty much in front and behind the fuel tank, there will be a bar coming off the frame, coming up, going across, so it sits just below the top of the notch, so that it protects the top of the notch, and then it goes down to the other side. There will be a drive shaft loop in the middle for the notch as well, and the fuel tank is gonna sit in between those two. It'll have a tab to sit on top, then bolt through with some bushings. You know, the bolts will hold it in, but it also should be resting on the frame too. So it should be a nice little happy fuel tank sandwich. Bottom will be 100, oh, look at how perfect that is, 100 centimeters across. So we come over here, we do, oh wait, this is in inches, damn it. Oh, sorry guys. Ready for this pain? 39.4 inches across there. 7.01 inches top there, and 26.8 inches there. Boom, we got our bar. We'll cut it at 53 inches. This is what the roll cage is made out of. So then you slip it in between these 2 dies, right? And put the pin in the back. The first thing you have to do is zero it out. So see how there's these degree markers? Yeah. Pretty much the way this thing works is, this is a ram. It rotates this entire piece when this stays still and bends it around the centerpiece. So it's pretty simple, but take your little trigger here. And so see how this is loose and easy to, so you just give a little bit of bend until this gets tight. There we go, now it's tight and I can't barely move it. And sure enough, it's pretty much zeroed. Now you just bend it. And we're gonna go until the pin lines up with 48. 7, a little more, right there. Okay, so now if we just took it out, it wouldn't be 48 degrees because metal has spring back, right? You bend it and it will kind of settle slightly less. You take the pressure off the machine by undoing this knob. And then see how this spins again. Yet again, you give it throttle until this is hard to spin. So about right there. So now it's at, 44.5. So that's a difference of 3.5 degrees. So now we have to bend it 3.5 degrees past 48, which would be 51.5. All right. So let's bend it to 51.5. 1, and there you go. All right. Yep, go ahead. pop it out. Pretty much you have to bring this all the way back down to 0. Then you take that out. And we got a bend. That's obviously not the finished piece. So bring it back over to the table. Pop this sucker loose. This time it's important where you put this. The first time it was not, because it was the first bend, but this time it is, because if you have it crooked, then these two bends aren't gonna be on the same plane. And you want them to be on the same plane, at least for this, you know. I just kind of lightly put it in there, bring it back up to 0. Okay, and then I come over here and I want to rotate it so that the piece that's bent up is perfectly in between those two. What do you think, Keegan? Yep. This doesn't matter. So then I tighten it, bend her to, what was it, 52 again? Right there, right there. Nice, got it. Cool. So you can tell the bends are slightly off because it has, you know, a little bit of play. Obviously, if they were perfectly in line, it would be perfectly flat. But that, I mean, that is pretty good for what it is. Now we take it over here and hope it fits. Kind of go there. I think that'll essentially work. Pretty level, yeah. Oh, oh, ho, ho. That is literally perfect. Literally perfect. That will tack onto that, and then the gas tank will go ba-dunk. Pretty sick, right? Oh, I hate how aluminum does that, bro. Fuck. Ugh. Why the fuck does it raise? Oh, I know, it's fucking... Fucking warped the entire piece. It just melts it out of the way. So unfortunately, my first plan is not gonna work. The problem is that the wall thickness of the fuel cell is too thin, where as soon as you apply any heat, it bows inwards. And then, you know, it's impossible to weld a long piece along the middle of the side without it totally warping. I mean, look at what the heat did to that. It's crazy. Definitely wasn't my frustration. Definitely not. I mean, wow, that was a lot of heat. Whew. Instead of building this little cradle with these beautiful mounts, just gonna strap it to the frame. It's the only way I can think of mounting this fuel tank without welding to the side of it, because welding to the side of it is clearly impossible. We're going to build a platform on the back side, very similar to this platform that just so happens to line up with. The fuel tank will sit on that. We'll have some foam in between the frame and the fuel tank. Then we will have another one of those bars going up and across the other side. And right down the middle, there's gonna be a big old strap that straps it in the middle section. Straightish, straightish. So our little fuel tank perch is finished, or at least tacked together. Now we're gonna make the second bar and then the strap that will go over everything. Pretty even on each side. Not enough quite. Nice. Strap comes off of the back one, up and over, down, and bolts into this front one. And then before we ever do a final install, we'll put rubber on all the pads, rubber on the straps, and some foam in between the two bars. Tight fit, that's for sure. All right. Okay. Gonna weld this one up and make another one. All right, so we got our two straps. Why does it seem like it's been kind of shrank? So yeah, this is the only unfortunate part. I have to do this, but it's right there, so it really isn't that bad. Oh yeah. Looks kind of sick too. Oh, 'twas a nightmare, but said nightmare is over. Well, despite some, difficulties getting this fuel tank mounted in at the beginning, I am very happy with these results. Possibly better than what it was going to look with the other brackets that I had devised. I already ordered some rubber that will go in between the straps and the fuel tank, and then some big foam blocks that will go in between the fuel tank and the frame. So it'll be nice and isolated from movement, but should be held in there nicely. Now, I didn't really expect this to take 20 minutes, so that's gonna be it for this video. In the next video, we are going to mount the surge tank from Dishworks inside the fuel cell. We're going to mount the fuel filter, and then we are going to hopefully finish these bars and get the drive shaft hoops in there. Maybe I'm gonna finally order a drive shaft. At the end of the next video, this back section is gonna be pretty much complete. Maybe we'll even make a battery mount, so we gotta do that too. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you wanna watch that next video early, plus get access to exclusive content, plus get a free Drift Truck t-shirt that says, I helped build this, check out Patreon. You can get all those things there. Thank you to Dishworks for providing all of the fuel parts, even though we didn't use any of them in this video, but that's gonna be the next video. Thanks to supernovas throughout the universe for creating the element aluminum, and then some manufacturing company, well really some mining company mining it out of the ground, and then a manufacturing company turning it into sheets for me to then print on my Langmuir Systems CNC table with a HTP plasma cutter, and then weld with an HTP welder into a box.